that's it for the skits. They, cut to the next day in the workroom, and they're all getting ready. It's the runway day, and Pixie starts in on a conversation about drag family and chosen family and how that's important. We usually get a lot of conversation about that on Drag Race. Um, that leads into Vermelha talking about her religious abuela telling her to promise not to be gay, right? This is in 3 episodes, the second religious persecution conversation topic that comes up. You know how I feel about that.
Tell us how.
And I don't want to get into it. That's a well, maybe we can for a little bit, and that's a mini J word thing, but
it's okay.
I don't know. It's just it's for me, and I'm not trying to like judge or put down in like any queens or whatever, but a religious Christian drag queen, it doesn't compute in my brain. I feel like there are many forms of abuse, and spiritual abuse is definitely one of them. And to use that, it's every excuse, every reason, every law, whatever, against gay people is usually has a religious connotation to it. It's usually in the name of religion.
And that we have discussed in the past how not only about current laws, but like way in the past, how religion, I don't want to get into slavery because like that's not my place to talk about, but like how religion was used to colonize other cultures. So it's like, it's not only that now religion is used to prosecute people with laws, but in the past, our origins of how we became religious people, comes from religion being used to colonize us, to kill us, to rape us, to kind of like basically force us into our religion. And now we are defending that same religion. It has never made sense to me.
It does me neither. It doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. And I don't know. I that it's obviously something I could really get into. Maybe we don't need to, but if someone who sums it up very well is Trixie. In a comment she had that went viral recently, they asked her about like, the recent conversations about drag queens and about, and how she just talks about how they use them like politically, like it's an issue that they don't even know about or care about, and it's just used to gain votes. If you haven't seen that clip, go look it up. It's really good. And she talks about how the United States, at least, is a country that mollycoddles Christians and that she's tired of it. And she's like, do we have separation of church and state or not? It's literally what she says. Yeah. So anyway, Vermelha talks about how she came out as bisexual first, which I think is something that unfortunately a lot of gay men do, because they're trying to hold on to this like piece of their identity that is like slowly like, I think I might be wrong, but I think she says something about like, or maybe it's Gala, I don't remember, about like I came out as bisexual, but then pretty soon after that I came out to them as gay, and then after that I came out to them as a drag queen.
It was Vermelha.
Yeah. So just I think as it's slowly testing the waters, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's something that obviously it's a whole conversation about like bisexual erasure and all of that. But at the same time, I feel like obviously you don't have to say like, oh, if you're bisexual, it just means that you're gay. But it is a very real thing that happens, that you either are still kind of like forcing yourself without realizing it to be attracted to women, and so you genuinely believe at some point that you might be bi, or you are testing the waters because being bi gives you certain masculinity for especially in front of straight people, that you can kind of like be a little bit tiptoeing around the issue that you are actually gay. So yes, obviously not every single bisexual man is just waiting to come out as gay, but a bunch of them are, because it's kind of like a rite of passage,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not bisexual, but in this episode, I saw Donna Paola and I was like, that's the most gorgeous woman I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, Gala talks about wanting to make her mom proud. And it's revealed that her family doesn't know that she does drag, because she hasn't told them, and she doesn't, I think she even says she doesn't want them to know
Mhm.
yet, right? And part of her reasoning is that she says that she feels that doing drag like this on an international platform like Drag Race will make it a bit easier for them to accept. And when she said that, it really, really like resonated in me. I like really understood this for some reason. And I think it's because, again, speaking about, religion or about homosexuality or whatever, it seems to me like in my life, I've witnessed um, people from religious backgrounds who, have issue with their kids being gay or whatnot, or leaving the church they were raised in, until they become well known or rich or famous. And then suddenly it's like, oh, cool, I don't care anymore. And I don't know, I honestly don't know how to feel about that, because on the one hand, I think you could feel like, oh, well, maybe the parents just, they were scared and they just really want to know that their kids are going to be like successful and well and taken care of and blah, blah, blah. But it also seems very, it
Conditional.
just seems very, yeah, like, and wrong to me to like force your children to like this conditional love of, I'm only going to love you if you are not gay. I'm only going to love you. And then suddenly when like they're what, rich or well known, it's like, okay, but that's fine now. It almost reminds me in a way of, you know um when Kim Chi talked about her mom and how her mom didn't know that she did drag, and everybody's like, oh, you got to tell her, she's your mom, she's gonna love you, like. And I was like, no, don't, like, it's a cultural thing for people of color, I think, that like that people some people just aren't going to understand, is like, it's fair for someone like Kimchi to be like, you don't know my mom,
Mhm.
you don't know my life, and she will not accept this. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And I did find it interesting that much later in a video on YouTube, Kimchi said like, oh, well, I told my mom that I have like a makeup company or whatever, and she knows that I do drag now. We don't really talk about it, but she kind of didn't care about it anymore once she saw how much money I could give her.
Yes. So
So,
my personal story with that is like it's also kind of like similar, but on my side of the conversation, maybe not on my mom's side, but I came out to my dad when I was 17, when I was still in high school, because I had my first boyfriend, and I was kind of like I had always come home very early, like and be like I was like a good kid and everything. And when I started, hanging out with this guy and dating and everything, I would come out, I would come to the house like super late and like stay out and whatever. And so they were worried, and so I told my dad so that he wouldn't worry anymore. I was like, no, 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 it's just that I'm gay and I have a boyfriend and blah blah. But I asked him not to tell my mom because kind of like my mom is a kind of like a difficult woman. And so I didn't know how she was going to react. And throughout my, my late teens and my early 20s, I was like, oh, so I need to be in a stable relationship and be successful at what I do, in this case,
mhm.
making movies, for me to feel comfortable enough to come out to my mom. Because I heard Dan Savage, this guy Dan Savage that we all know. I heard him say that whether you like it or not, like coming out to your parents is taking something away from them. Like not in a mean way, but like for them it feels like that. That you're taking, their dreams about you. You're taking them away from you. And maybe they
Mhm.
will get new dreams and they will, understand that this is, new
Yeah.
opportunities to dream about the future of your child. But at that point, you're taking something away from them. So I was like, well, if I'm taking something away from her, I'm going to give her something back so that I don't leave her with nothing. And I was waiting for that. But the thing is, like, it put so much pressure on me because I was like, I need to be in a relationship and I need to be successful at making movies.
Mhm.
And I was like,
Mhm.
my first few shorts were already like in film festivals and stuff, but I didn't feel successful enough. And so all of this happened, throughout my 20s until Orlando happened. And after the Orlando shooting happened, I was like, I can no longer be in the closet because I need them to know where I am. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
need to be able to be like, I'm going to a gay club. I'm going on a date with a guy. I'm going to this or that, because for my safety in this country and in this world that we live in, I cannot have secrets with my parents, you know?
Yeah.
And so that was the reason why I eventually came out. And I was like at a low point in my love life, in my career. Like I had nothing to give back, but at the same time, I didn't want to feel unsafe and for them not to know, where I was. So at the end of the day, my mom didn't care, whatever, but I always felt like I had to give something in return, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's something you and I have in common. I definitely felt that pressure too, like, oh, I can't come out to them unless XYZ, all
Yeah.
these things have to be in order. I have to be successful. I have to whatever. And that success, I think, is sort of like proving, oh, well, what you thought about me, what you thought about gay people, like, I'm going to be proving to you that these preconceived notions you have are not right. They're not true, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I remember when I came out to my sister, she was like, "How do you think mom and dad are going to take it?" And I remember saying, I think they're both going to freak out. I think they're both going to be mad and upset, but I do think that one day dad will get over it. But I think it will take mom a very long time, if ever. And my sister was like, "Oh, I think you're right." And that was exactly the case. That's pretty much what happened. Um, but yeah, I don't know. That's some good mini J word stuff right there. Well, um, Gala talking about this and then talking about it in a confessional is sort of, to me, the magic of Drag Race, right? I won't say that I don't dislike any of the queens, but I do think that the way we've seen Gala shown on the show up until now is sort of like this kind of like, kind of maybe a little full of herself. And I think it's easy to be like, okay, well, she's not one of my favorites, whatever. Like it's easy to sort of just kind of like, what am I looking for? Write her off as like
Mhm.
whatever. She's like a conceited whatever. But then seeing the like pain and the humanity of like this person and what they've had to go through, and it's a real credit, I think, to these queens as artists that like they've gone through these really difficult things, but that they're like, um, I don't know what the word is in English. Is it like sobrevivir?
Yeah, survive?
Like yeah, like
No, like
survive.
thrive.
Well, both. Like that they had
Uh-huh.
to survive and now they're thriving. Like,
Yeah.
they did what they needed to do to survive, but they still were doing their art. They were doing this maybe as a way to cope. And that now they've turned it into this life thing they do that like they're, known for. And that to me is sort of the magic of the show that can like really change on a dime so quickly that you're like, oh well, but now I see her as like a person.
Yeah.
So I like that. That was really great. We should cut.